Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Srimad Bhagavatam, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya daily reading classes. So, we will reading from where we live, fourth canto, uh, chapter 8. Dhruva Maharaj leaves home for the forest. So, today we will read 4.8.43. So, we will continuously by reading. So before reading, we'll recite Mangalacharan. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayo Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Avantreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Charu Shaminti Namine Snigdha Cheta Supranita Bhagvinam Tarasaplatam Prabhupada Prano Numi Bhakti Charu Padam Namo Yom Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyadesh Tarine Mukam Karti Vachalam Pongam Langhite Grim Yatkripa Tamaham Bande Shigurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Si Chaitanya Iswaram Tassat. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 8th chapter, 43. Dhruva Maharaj leaves home for the forest. Slok. Nathpanu Shavanam Tasmin Kalinja Salile Shiva Ritvotitani Nivasan Atmana Kalpitasana. Translation. Narad Muni instructed, my dear boy, in the waters of the Yamuna river, which is known as Kalindi, you should take 3 baths daily because the water is very auspicious, sacred and clear. After bathing, you should perform the necessary regulative principles for Ashtanga Yoga and then sit down on your asana, sitting place in a calm and quiet position. Perfect. It appears from this statement that Dhruva Maharaj had already been instructed how to practice the eightfold yoga system, which is known as Ashtanga Yoga. The system is explained in our Bhagavad Gita as it is in the chapter entitled Dhyana Yoga. It is understood that in Ashtanga Yoga, one practices settling the mind and then concentrating it on the form of Lord Vishnu. As will be described in the following verses, it is clearly stated here that Ashtanga Yoga is not a bodily gymnastic exercise, but a practice to concentrate the mind on the form of Vishnu. Before sitting on his asana, which is also described in Bhagavad Gita, one has to cleanse himself very nicely in clear or sacred water thrice daily. The water of the Yamuna is naturally very clear and pure, and thus if anyone bathes there 3 times, undoubtedly he will be very greatly purified externally. Narad Muni therefore instructed Dhruva Maharaj to go to the bank of the Yamuna and thus become externally purified. This is part of the gradual process of practicing mystic yoga. Slok 44. Pranayamena trivrita pranindriya manomalam Sanai Sanai review Dashavi Vyahim Dhyayan Manasa Guruna Gurum. Translation: after sitting on your seat, practice the three kinds of breathing exercises and thus gradually control the life here, the mind and the senses. Completely free yourself from all material contamination and with great patience begin to meditate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport: in this verse, the entire yoga system is described in summary, and special stress is given to the breathing exercises for stopping the disturbing mind. The mind by nature is always oscillating, for it is very fickle, but the breathing exercise is meant to control it. This process of controlling the mind might have been very possible in those days, million of years ago, when Dhruva Maharaj took, took to it. But at the present moment, the mind has to be fixed directly on the lotus feet of the Lord by the chanting process. By chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one immediately concentrates on the sound, vibration, and things of the lotus feet of the Lord. And very quickly, one is elevated to the position of samadhi or trance. If one goes on chanting the holy name of the Lord, which are not different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, naturally his mind becomes absorbed in thought of the Lord. It is here recommended of Dhruva Maharaj that he meditate on the Supreme Guru or Supreme Spiritual Master. The Supreme Spiritual Master is Krishna, who is therefore known as Chaitya Guru. This refers to the Super Soul who is sitting in everyone's heart. He helps from within, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, and is sent the spiritual master who helps from without. The spiritual master is the external manifestation of the Chaitya Guru, or the spiritual master sitting in everyone's heart. The process by which we give up our thoughts of material things is called pratyahara, which entails being freed from all material thoughts and engagements. The word avidhayat, which is used in this verse, indicates that unless one's mind is fixed, one cannot meditate. The conclusion, therefore, is that meditation means thinking of the Lord within. Whether one comes to that stage by the Ashtanga Yoga system or by the method of recommended in the Shastras, especially for this present age, to constantly chant the holy name of the Lord, the goal is to meditate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 45. Prasada vimukham saswat prashanna vadane kshanam shanasham subhravam charu kapulam surasundaram. Translation: the form of the Lord is described herein. The Lord's face is perpetually very beautiful and pleasing in attitude. To the devotees who see him, he appears never to be displeased and is always prepared to award benedictions to them. His eyes, his nicely decorated eyebrows, his raised nose, and his broad forehead are all very beautiful. He is more beautiful than all the demigods. Purport: this verse clearly explains how one has to meditate on the form of the Lord. Impersonal meditation is a bogus invention of modern days. In, in none of the Vedic literatures is impersonal meditation recommended. In Bhagavad Gita, when meditation is recommended, the word matpara, which means pertaining to me, is used. In a Vishnu form pertains to Lord Krishna because Lord Krishna is the original Vishnu form. Sometimes someone tries to meditate upon the impersonal Brahman, which is described in Bhagavad Gita as avyakta, meaning unmanifested or impersonal, but it is remarked by the Lord himself that those who are attached to the impersonal feature of the Lord suffer a very troublesome task because no one can concentrate on the impersonal feature. One has to concentrate on the form of the Lord. which is described here in connection with Dhruva Maharaj meditation. As will be apparent from later descriptions, Dhruva Maharaj perfected this kind of meditation and his yoga was successful. 4.8.46 Taruram Ramaniyangam Arunothe Sanadharam Prana Pranatasyayanam Nirnam Saranyam Karunarnabham. Translation: Narad Muni continued, the Lord's form is always youthful. Every limb and every part of his body is properly formed, free from defect. His eyes and lips are pinkish, like the rising sun. He is always prepared to give shelter to the surrendered soul, and anyone so fortunate as to look upon him feels all satisfaction. The Lord is always worthy to be the master of the surrendered soul, for he is the ocean of mercy. Purport: everyone has to surrender to someone superior. That is always the nature of our living condition. At the present moment, we are trying to surrender to someone, either to society or to our nation, family, state, or government. The surrendering process already exists, but it is never perfect because the person or institution unto whom we surrender is imperfect. And our surrender, having so many ulterior motives, is also imperfect. As such, in the material world, no one is worthy to accept anyone's surrender, nor does anyone fully surrender to anyone else unless obliged to do so. But here the surrendering process is voluntary, and the Lord is worthy to accept the surrender. The surrender by the living entity occurs automatically as soon as he sees the beautiful, youthful nature of the Lord. The description given by Narad Muni is not imaginary. The form of the Lord is understood by the Parampara system. Why our the philosophers say that we have to imagine the form of the Lord? But here Narad Muni does not say rather. Rather, he gives the description of the Lord from authoritative sources. He is himself an authority and he is able to go to Vaikuntha Loka and see the Lord personally. Therefore, his description of the bodily features of the Lord is not an imagination. Sometimes we give instructions to our students about the bodily feature of the Lord and they paint him. Their paintings are not imaginary. The description is given through disciplic succession, just like that given by Narad Muni, who sees the Lord and describes his bodily features. Therefore, such descriptions should be accepted, and if they are painted, that is not imaginative painting. Slok 47. Shivasankam ghana shivayam swamam purusham vanamalinam Shankachakra Gada Padmair Abhivakta Chaturbhujam. Translation: the Lord is further described as having the mark of Sivasa, or the sitting place of the goddess of fortune, and his bodily is deep bluish. The Lord is a person, he wears a garland of flowers and is eternally manifest with four hands, which hold beginning from the lower left hand, a council wheel, club, and lotus flower. Purport: herein, in this verse, the word Purusham is very significant. The Lord is never female, he is always male, Purusha. Therefore, the impersonalist who imagines the Lord's form as that of a woman is mistaken. The Lord appears in female form if necessary, but his perpetual form is Purusha because he is originally male. The feminine features, the feminine feature of the Lord displayed by goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, Radharani, Sita, etc. All these goddesses of fortune are servitors of the Lord. They are not the supreme as falsely imagined by the impersonalists. Lord Krishna is uh, Narayana feature is always four-handed. On the battlefield of Kurukshetra, when Arjuna wanted to see its universal form, he showed the feature of the four-handed Narayana. Some devotees are of the opinion that Krishna is an incarnation of Narayana, but the Bhagavata school says that Narayana is a manifestation of Krishna. Look 48. Pretinam Kundalina Kiri Kiritinam Kundalinam Keuravalayam Hitam Kaustubha Bharana Grivam Pita Kauseva Vasasam. Translation: the entire body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva is decorated. He wears a valuable jeweled helmet, necklace, and bracelets. His neck is adorned with the Kaustubha jewel and is dressed in yellow silk garments. Slok 49. Kanchikalpa Paryastam Lasat Kanchan Nupuram Darshaniyatamam Santam Manonayana Vardhanam. Translation: the Lord is decorated with small golden bells around his waist, and his lotus feet are decorated with golden ankle bells. All his bodily features are very attractive and pleasing to the eyes. He is always peaceful, calm, and quiet, and very pleasing to the eyes and the mind. Slok 50. Padbhyam Nakhamani Srenya Vilasadbhyam Shamarchatam Padma Karnika Dishnyam Akramyat Mani Avastitam. Translation: real yogis meditate upon the transcendental form of the Lord as he stands on the whorl of the lotus of their hearts and jewel-like nails of his lotus feet glittering. Slok 51. Smayamanam avidyayet Chanuraga Valokanam Niyate Naika Bhutena Manasa Varadarsabham. Translation: the Lord is always smiling, as the devotee should constantly see the Lord is in his form, as he looks very mercifully toward the devotee. In this way, the meditator should look towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the bestower of all benedictions. Purport: the word Niyatena is very significant in this connection, for it indicates that one should execute the meditation practice as stated above. One should not manufacture a way of meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but should follow the authorized shastras and personalities. By this prescribed method, one can practice concentration upon the Lord until one is so fixed that he remains in trance, thinking always of the form of the Lord. The word used here is Eka Bhutena, which means with great attention and concentration. If one concentrates on the description of the bodily feature of the Lord, one will never fall down. Slok 52. Evam Bhagavato Rupam Subhadram Dhayayato Mana Nivritya Paraya Turnam Sampannam Na Nivartate. Translation: one who meditates in this way, concentrating his mind upon the always auspicious form of the Lord, is very soon freed from all material contamination, and who does not come down from meditation upon the Lord. Purport: this fixed meditation is called samadhi or trance. A person constantly engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord cannot be deviated from meditating on the form of the Lord, as described herein. The Archana Marga, or the devotional path described in the uh, Pancharatri system of the devotional service for worshipping the deity in the temple, makes the devotee think constantly of the Lord. That is Samadhi or tense. One who practices in this way cannot deviate from the service of the Lord, and that makes him perfect in the mission of human life. Japascha paramo guiha suyatam me nipat maja yam saptaratram prapat prapathan puman pasyati khecharan. Translation: O song, the king, now I shall speak unto you the mantra which is to be chanted with his process of meditation. One who carefully chant this mantra for 7 minutes can see the perfect human beings flying in the sky. Purport within this universe, there is a planet called Siddhaloka. The inhabitants of Siddhaloka are by nature perfect in the yoga achievements, which are of the 8 varieties. One can become smaller than the smallest, lighter than the lightest, or bigger than the biggest. One can immediately get whatever he likes. One can even create a planet, etc. These are some of the yogic perfections, but by virtue of the Lakima Siddhi, a purificatory process to become lighter than the lightest, the inhabitants of Siddhaloka can fly in the sky without airplanes or airships. It is hinted herein by Narad Muni to Dhruva Maharaj that by the meditating upon the transcendental form of the Lord and at the same time chanting the mantra, one becomes so perfect within 7 days that he can see the human beings who fly in the sky. Narad Muni uses the word japa, which indicates that the mantra to be chanted is very confidential. One may ask if it is confidential, why it is mentioned that in the writing of Srimad Bhagavatam. It is confidential in the sense one may receive a published mantra anywhere, but unless it is accepted through the chain of the disciplic succession, the mantra does not act. It is said by the authoritative sources that any mantra chanted without having been received from the disciplic succession has no efficacy. Another point established in the verse is that meditation should be carried on with the chanting of the mantra. Chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is the easiest process for meditation in this age. As soon as one chants the Hare Krishna mantra, he sees the forms of Krishna, Rama, their energies, and that is the perfect stage of trance. One should not artificially try to see the form of the Lord while chanting Hare Krishna, but when the chanting is performed offenselessly, the Lord will automatically reveal himself to the view of the chanter. Therefore, the chanter has to concentrate to on hearing the vibration, and without extra endeavor on his part, the Lord will automatically appear. So today we will stop here. Tomorrow we will continue reading from text 54. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. जगत गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की जय, पद पावन श्री गुरु महाराज की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव भक्त वृंद की जय, जय निताय गौर